What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the Land of 10,000 Sports Podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday where I'm going to be covering all the four Minnesota sports leagues, whether that be Twins, Wild, Timberwolves, Vikings. I'm excited. If I look familiar to anyone, I am a host on the Sports Talk on Tap podcast. Where there you can find daily videos as well, Monday through Friday, covering all the four major sports leagues and all the teams, news updates, and all that fun stuff. But as a Minnesota fan, I thought it'd be time to start my own Minnesota sports channel and kind of just talk, whatever's happening in the Minnesota sports landscape. And in today's episode, obviously the Wild finished their draft, Timberwolves as well, and Vikings, they're in a quiet period before training camp wraps up. I figured, give a shout out to the one team that's playing right now, the Minnesota Twins, and do they deserve it? And this guy, mainly right here, Jose Miranda, boy, what a weekend, what a 4th of July week it was for him and the Twins. The Twins now are at 51-39. A little brief overview. They have the 4th best record in the American League, and they're also 5th, the second wildcard spot. Seattle's a division leader right now, so they have the higher seeding. But, boy, the Twins have been getting red hot. They're still, Guardians are still playing great baseball, so there's still a handful of games behind them. But the Twins offense, after, being almost nothing in the month of April, they started off 7-13, very rough. They've bounced back and now have one of the best offenses since then, the 4th best offense in the MLB overall, despite that 20-game slow start. And it's just been many people contributing and getting hot. Carlos Correa a couple months ago really started to warm up, and he's been amazing. Royce Lewis, when he's been in the lineup, has been unreal, but unfortunately back on the injured list. But it's been Willie Castro. Shout out Willie Castro, been playing all different positions for the Minnesota Twins right now. It should have been an all-star, possibly had the highest WAR out of anyone, not in the all-star game. So Willie Castro been absolutely dealing. Byron Buxton getting back to his former self over these past couple weeks, just been smashing the ball, hitting at 270 clip, above average OPS now, around in the 800. And then this guy right here, Jose, what a week. He went 12 for 12 consecutive hits. Also was hit by a pitch, so reach base 13 consecutive times, 12 for 12 hits. Joins the 4th player to do that. I think the first since like 1950 or something. Unreal like that. And it was a historic run. Was going like 5 for 5, 4 for 4, and then 2 for 2 before eventually flying out for the record, which would have been insane. But, all good things must come to an end. But either way, he bounced back on Sunday with a pinch hit, a bat. And the Twins yesterday, shout out Christian Vazquez, who's had a rough year, but just different guys stepping up every day. He hits the walk-off in the bottom of the 9th off Josh Hader, just to, steal the game because Twins didn't play that great. Neither did the Astros, but the Twins just finding ways to win and finding series wins, which has been huge to their success. And Christian Vazquez, who had a rough year, stepped up big time for a win. But also, Jose Miranda now hitting 330, just an unreal step-up season for him after having a solid 2022. But last year, injury-riddled, was struggled, missed most of the year. What a way for him. He was kind of overlooked in this lineup. And then also just someone like Brooks Lee. Royce Lewis goes down, Brooks Lee gets the call-up, is hitting at a 475 clip, even though it's a really small sample size, has looked great at the plate. His first home run over the weekend has just been breaking hits. So it's just been great to see the hitting. Obviously, when you're 4th in offense, you must be doing something right. And they also have a 25-game consecutive home run streak with Christian Vazquez walk-off that stayed alive. And that's up there with some of the great teams of the 2019 Yankees, 2019 Astros, when the juice balls were a thing. Atlanta last year, that tied for the most home runs ever with the 2019 Minnesota Twins Bomba squad. Not even the Bomba squad was able to do this. So the team's mashing at the plate. They're hitting for average, too. They're one of the best OPSs in baseball since their slow start. And it's just been a credit to this Twins team just for believing ever since that players-only meeting after that slow start. They've really come back around, and that's just a huge credit to what this Twins team is building and Rocco Baldelli has done this season after a couple rough years, after a great first 2 years, making the playoffs, winning the AL Central, but taking a step back. And now they're kind of, on the verge of, potentially doing some damage come October. I do have some concerns. Obviously, the one negative you could look at this weekend was Pablo Lopez kind of getting shelled 5 innings, 5+ innings, at least I should say, 6 runs. And it was just, a rough start. Even though this Astros team is red hot, you'd like to see Pablo be able to perform against the really good teams. Because obviously, he was dealing against the Athletics and I believe it was the Mariners, but the Mariners don't have a great offense. They're mostly a good team because of their pitching. So, rough outing for him, but hopefully he can bounce back. It's still July, and that's the benefit of it still being, a long season, is he can easily turn around and be that ace, because Joe Ryan has been really solid. And Simeon's Wood Richardson, who no one expected to be a huge part of this rotation, has arguably been their second best pitcher this season, going 6 innings, 2 runs. If that's what you can get with him, that's amazing against this hot Astros lineup, even though they were missing Jordan. But overall, Twins, a great week. Obviously, Jose Miranda made history. But, Carlos Correa getting an all-star appearance, getting his third all-star, first with the Twins in his third season, really shows that plantar fasciitis was really affecting him last year, because this year he's looked like a completely different guy at the plate, hitting well above 300, high OPS near 900, and just been raking home runs. And I don't know if it's David Popkins, the hitting coach. People want his head done after, a rough start to the beginning of this year and last year, being the highest strikeout team ever last season. It was really frustrating, but the Twins have done a good job since April putting the ball in play, and that's what happens when you put the ball in play. You're not guaranteed to free out like a strikeout. You can see what happens. There can be an error, can just, fall down for a hit, and, sack flies. Just being able to provide offense has been crucial, and has what led them to have such a great turnaround since their horrible start. But there's still work to be done, and that will start this week. You want to end the week before the All-Star break hot. You don't want to cool down, and they have an opportunity now playing the White Sox in a 3-game series starting tonight. And you really need to take advantage of this, win at least 2 out of 3, because you can't be losing series to the White Sox. We've been playing so well and beating teams like the Astros, like the Mariners, in tough series. You can't just, look over the White Sox. You got to beat them up, especially since Garrett Crochet, their best pitcher, isn't going. You need to be able to take advantage. So with that being said, it's going to be a big series tonight. Chris Paddock will return, so I'm curious to see how he looks. He got a start off just because he obviously hasn't thrown this many innings in a while. So it's clearly taking a toll on him. He struggled some outings, but hopefully he can get done tonight, because you got to be able to beat the White Sox and just, take advantage. You probably also will have, Bailey Ober going, and I believe Pablo Lopez. So it should be interesting to see what happens. But overall, just the Twins, and then they also have the Giants right after the White Sox. So 2 very winnable series in this road trip, but they got to be ready, because, you want to keep riding this momentum. You still, like I said, I've been preaching how good they've been, but there's still 6 games behind the Guardians who have been playing great baseball, and you want to win that division. You want to, be able to be a higher seed, have home field advantage, as far as you can go in the playoffs, no matter what sport it's in. Even though some may affect more than others, it's still nice to have that crowd behind you. And we saw last year how well the Twins played with the home field in the wild card round against the Blue Jays. With that being said, this Twins team just keeps finding ways to win, mainly with their offense, but the bullpen, shout out Griffin Jax, has been balling. Duran has had kind of a weird year, but overall, he's been solid. But like I said, it's just going to come down to, can this team, just keep this consistency, because we've seen them go on hot streaks before where they won 13 straight games earlier in the season, but ultimately, went on like their own 7-game winning streak after. This team's been getting hot and cold, but hopefully they have this sustainable success. They can maintain this, just because it does seem like, these guys are just hitting. It's not, just for crazy grand slams. They're hitting for contact. They're getting singles, doubles. They're just playing really well as a team right now. The pitching has been getting the job done for the most part. And, it's just going to be interesting to see what this team does, because, if they continue this winning streak, do they buy at the deadline? Because we knew the ownership came out after last season, despite, making it to the divisional round, that they were going to cut payroll and let some of their players go. So that's fine, I guess. But the ticket sales have been low on the Twins. Obviously, the TV problems with people not being able to see it on Bally's has been crazy. So despite them having such a great season, no one's really recognizing it in Minnesota. And, it's obviously not a big market like New York, so they're not getting talked about as much. So it'll be interesting to see what they do come the trade deadline. If they're buyers, I would hope so. You want to be aggressive. This is a team, great prospect pool. Their top prospects have been balling. So if you need to use them, just, to be able to help this team out, because this is a really good team. But they got to prove it, because last year, obviously, they didn't. And I think they responded well to not getting any help. And they didn't deserve help last year. I'll stand on that. They got swept by the Royals right before the trade deadline. Even though they were winning the division, it was not worth the team to buy into. But then they got hot. Royce Lewis came back, obviously, and they were a much different team. But I still agree with that decision. And they, were trying to prove the ownership wrong, and they did. They won their first playoff game since like 2003-4. So that was great. But I do think this Twins team has proven something. They just got to keep it up. You can't go like losing 2-3 to the White Sox and then getting swept by the Giants, because then I don't know. So hopefully they can just keep riding this momentum. Hopefully Jose Miranda keeps staying hot. Obviously, he won't stay as hot as he has this past week, but just being able to make contact. Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, just their studs, Willie Castro, and hopefully, Pablo Lopez can bounce back this week. But overall, should be interesting tonight. Like I said, Chris Pack will be going on the mound, I believe, against Flexen. So this is a very winnable game. But obviously, we'll see what happens. Should be a good one, though. Twins look to keep riding this momentum and overall just continue this great season since that slow start, 7-13. But with that being said, I'm excited to, keep producing content throughout the 4 Minnesota sports teams. Obviously, content's going to vary, depending on the time of year, obviously summertime. So definitely going to be a lot more Twins, but we're excited as training camp will soon start for the Vikings before we know it in a couple weeks. But with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.